You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Hey, welcome into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. Happy 2026. It is our first show of the new year. Benjamin Hill, Sam Dykstra in New York City looking resplendent in this new calendar year. My name is Tyler Mon. Fellas, what's going on?
Yeah, no, things are good. Things are good. It's
You're both stunned by my use of the word resplendent. I could see the looks.
I guess you knocked me on my heels there.
On your resplendent heels.
Yeah. I was thinking about getting a haircut, but after you say that, I might not get one,
it's
maybe I just need to keep things the way they are.
There you go.
So much talk about things that need to change in 2026. Maybe it's okay if some things stay the same.
Some constants.
No, I want to get a haircut. I was thinking about getting a haircut just this morning. I got off the train and went to a barbershop that I just looked up online near our office because I was like, it's just time to it's on the to-do list. Let's get it done. And it was closed. So that's a great story. But what I'm saying is I don't think I'm going to have much long hair this year. When I've been, the season went forever in terms of me getting all my material out. I had to deal with eras of the season, which I had long hair or short hair, and just my gut reaction to seeing photos of myself at various ballparks. I found that I just liked the way I looked better with short hair. The long hair shows that I'm a renegade, an iconoclast. I understand, but nah. Time to be a normie now. No more of this long hair.
Normie
I'm no longer
era.
with the long hairs. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
getting short hair. I'm gonna get a haircut you can just set your watch to.
Like Johnny Unitas.
I was waiting for you. I just set that up just for you, Tyler.
What a guy. I made a joke before we started recording, and I actually meant to ask you, Ben, because we were talking about the Pirates and their top prospect and Connor Griffin, and we were talking about the Tigers and their top prospect and Kevin McGonigal. Isn't the MacGyver knockoff on the early Simpsons, isn't that it's McGarnagle, I think, right?
I think it's McGarnagle.
McGarnagle.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in a while, but
okay.
Hey, we're going to talk about resolutions in this episode a little bit. I don't even know this is my resolution, but I feel like I need to go back and rewatch The Simpsons at least seasons 3 through 9 or something, because this base of references, which was to me one of the most important things in my life. When I was in middle school and high school and college. Now I can pick up 10% of them anymore. So
yeah,
time to dive back into that because it is arguably the greatest show of all time. I
very much support that resolution. In fact, when you do it, I might join you on a rewatch. I do pretty regular Simpsons rewatches, but I might do it. I'm on one of my beer league hockey teams. We have there's a kid on our team who is 23. And he gets none of our references. And I realized, Ben, you've got a young child. If Sam and I someday end up being fathers, they're not going to get any of our references. And that, to me, that's going to be very humbling. The first time that I break out, a Seinfeld line or a Simpsons joke or something, from Curb or whatever, kids aren't going to get anything. So yeah, but I appreciate you going back to the well of the most important repository of our references, because we need to be able to communicate in that language. The three of us, Josh Jackson, everybody else.
I will say, I will praise Ben as a father in this way of hearing what Harry gets now. Harry's very big into Popeye.
Yeah.
That's
and not
very cool.
There's a modern Popeye show.
No, we're watching 1930s.
Old-timey Popeye?
Brothers
Oh,
cartoons,
that is fantastic.
And he came back, he's like, the kids in my class, he's in pre-K, don't know Popeye. And I was like, yeah, you got to tell them. And he's spreading the Popeye gospel.
That's pretty great.
We went to a New Year's Eve party with other kids, and he brought, it wasn't actually a can of spinach, but it was a spinach label wrapped around a toilet paper, cardboard toilet paper roll. And he put it under his shirt. In case I need this when I'm out tonight on New Year's Eve, I might have to reach in here and get some spinach.
That's amazing.
He loves Popeye, and it's one of my favorite things. So to a degree, you can, teach your children the references that you want them to know, but you also can't fight the fact that
City
they're
Hall.
going to be living in the culture and
Yeah.
knowing a lot of stuff that we're not going to know. Harry called me sus. He said, "Dad, you're sus." He's 4 years
Oh,
old, and I was like, "What? I'm sus?"
man. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. That would be humbling. The one thing that I feel cool about as it relates to little kids, whenever we open an episode like this, by the way, I always think of the one review that I ever read of our podcast on Apple Reviews, which was during like the height of the pandemic when there was no baseball going on, and a guy complained that we don't talk about baseball on this show. But then we have opens like this, and I love it. It's so entertaining. So I had a great uncle who was the best man that I ever knew, and his nickname from the time that he came into my mom and my aunt's life when they were little kids, his nickname was Unc. So I inherited that nickname, which is like the biggest honor of my life. But Unc now is also a term for just like the cool old guy societally. Like kids have adopted that term to refer to like the cool old guy. And I got called Unc by one of our basketball players recently. And I got to tell you, it felt pretty cool. Like to be an old guy now, I'm very mindful of the fact that I'm an old guy, but to qualify for Unc status, I felt really cool. So I'm probably sus, but I'm also Unc. And anybody listening to this who is a Gen Zer or younger is cringing so hard. This is very cringe to them, as they would say. Right? Right, Sam?
We're building an audience. We are speaking to them in some way.
Yeah.
So if we
this
are
is
willing
their
to,
language.
Yeah. Pick
We
up
have
their
the
language and
Riz.
use it as our own.
have-
No, now you lost me. You lost me and them.
Oh man. Well, we welcome you into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, where three middle-aged men talk about baseball. And we are excited to be back with you here in 2026. Wherever you found us, thanks for tuning in. You can get in touch with the show podcast at milb.com. And we have a lot of fun stuff coming up on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. We are set in just a little bit to head to the Florida State League and a very fun conversation with Sophia Monteleone, who is a member of the Palm Beach Cardinals front office. The Cardinals announcing a fantastic alt identity for 2026. And Sophia, their media relations coordinator, will join us to talk about that coming up here in a little bit. But before that, let's dive in. It is, I like how Ben deemed this as we were talking earlier. It is National Bobblehead Day observed. In our case today, think it was technically yesterday, but we're recording this on Thursday, January 8th. And Ben, big bobblehead guy. We're all bobblehead. Who is not a bobblehead person who works in baseball? Even on the shelves behind you guys from the offices at MLB HQ, I can see a collection of somebody's bobbleheads back there, which makes this all the better. But a very good holiday, and a holiday that needs no further explanation, but definitely needs some delving into.
Yeah, I mean, Bobblehead Day is January 7th, as you all know, National Bobblehead Day. I believe that was established by the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum, which I think they might be moving locations, or I don't know, it doesn't matter. There was an institution that started it, National Bobblehead Museum. And, coming into the week after the break, it's a slow time of year for us, shaking off the holiday cobwebs. So it was like, all right, it's National Bobblehead Day, let's get into it. And so I put together an article for MLB.com, about nine of the best minor league bobbleheads of 2025. And I don't want to say fight, because I remained successful, I remained respectful, but had a guy on Twitter telling me it was cringy and a joke, my whole list. He was a collector, and I guess he didn't like my criteria. My criteria was
he was a gatekeeper. Let's be fair.
Very much
to talk to somebody else about how the thing that they enjoy in the realm that you enjoy is cringy is very dumb, and don't be that person.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who make their livings on the internet deal with a lot of heat and a lot of trolls, and I don't much, because I operate in a fairly insular world, and it's good-natured stuff, and most of the time people just want to talk to me about the things they love too. But whenever I deal with someone who's disrespectful, I go out of my way to be respectful the whole way through, even though there's this part of me in my mind that just wants to light them up. But anyway, don't need to get into my interactions with people on Twitter. I just put together 9 of the best. So my criteria were just like, I just want to show the diversity of minor league baseball bobbleheads, whether it's in the part of the body that bobbles, not always the head, whether it's like a cultural figure, a team alumni, the creative things you can do with it. So a few that I put down this is one of the things I got heat for. I mean, the Cyclones did a Kramer bobblehead on Seinfeld night. I didn't put that in the article because I just feel like we cover that quite a bit and it's already very well known. But I did their Senga Ghost bobblehead, because he's known for his ghost fork pitch. And the Cyclones gave away this bobblehead where there's a removable ghost costume. And so you can put it over his body or take it off because he throws the ghost fork. So I thought that was creative. And, trying to highlight that kind of stuff. The Goo Goo Dolls bobblehead in Buffalo Bisons, because the Goo Goo Dolls, their founding members, are from Buffalo. The Chandler Simpson stolen base counter bobblehead from the Montgomery Biscuits, so that you can update as the season goes along with the number of stolen bases he has. Rick Sweet bobble stash, their legendary manager. He's way high up there for the Nashville Sounds, or in his career. He's the manager of the Nashville Sounds in 2025, but Rick Sweet has been managing since 1987. We got his bobble stash that actually bobbles. Nashville Sounds gave that away, and so on and so forth. Just highlighting some of my favorites. Jimmy Carter bobblehead with Gwinnett Stripers, because he was a Georgia guy, was Jimmy, and Gwinnett Stripers are obviously there near Atlanta, and Jimmy Carter was also a Braves fan. You don't dive into the world of politics too much with minor league baseball bobbleheads. Things can get dicey. I remember we did have Derek Scherer from the St. Paul Saints talking about their bob election a couple of years back.
Right, yeah.
But for the most part, you're not going to give away bobbleheads of political figures because it's polarizing, and so on and so forth. So I could go on, but those were some of the ones that stood out to me. Again, best is very subjective, but things that just highlighted different the types of people and the different ways bobbleheads could be creatively utilized. And it's a goal of mine every year, talking about resolutions, is to go through my stuff in my apartment, get my bobbleheads together, share things online, kind of do a Ben's Biz archives kind of thing. I have some interesting bobbleheads through the years that I should bring back to light. But every single year, it's a tradition for me. I highlight the Iowa Cubs later bobblehead. It's literally a player to be named later, and it just says later on the base of the bobblehead. That's my all-time favorite. What about you guys?
I don't know if I have an all-time favorite for me personally. I have some fun ones. Like I have a Lucas Giolito Star Wars one that I think I still have in the box at my desk. I should go over and look at that. One of my grand memories of getting a bobblehead, and I may have told this story. We've done the show for a decade at this point, so it's possible I told this story before.
We've told every story.
We've told every story, but I'm going to tell it again.
We're out of stories.
We are out of stories. Thankfully, history continues to march on and we get new stories. But here's an old one anyway. I remember going to a Pawtucket Red Sox game, and it was Trot Nixon bobblehead day that day. And they came in a box, a white box. And I was like, all right, I'm going to put this under my seat and keep it safe. I don't know if somebody spilled soda or beer or if it was just a generally wet day that day in Pawtucket, but I went to grab the box afterwards, and the Trot Nixon bobblehead just plummeted out of the box. And it broke, and I think his arm broke. And we kept it. So I still have this like slightly shattered Trot Nixon bobblehead that means more to me now because we saved it and it sort of survived the fall. But I think that means more to me than like some of the trick stuff, which I love. Teams being creative, like putting a sheet over the Kodai Senga bobblehead is a great way of being creative, and the Rick Sweet bobble stash is great. But it's like, what is the memory you make with it afterwards? Who is the player that you care about? And what do you do with the bobblehead after that? I think that's just as good a story as the design for me personally.
Yeah, I think most people's favorite bobbleheads might not be something that was, a representation of the most creative thing the minor league teams can do with bobbleheads, but it's just one that has a personal connection. It doesn't have to be overly clever. And yeah, that makes sense.
Tyler, what do you got?
I have sort of a similar story to you in that my favorite one, of course, because it's me, it has to do with a uniform. But so the Colorado Rockies for a long time had those just hideous and atrocious black vests, and I will not entertain any other opinions. That's how I'm going to be a gatekeeper. But so the black vests, which were dumb and bad, were originally designed to be worn with purple undersleeves, which was a hideous, heinous affront to all things baseball and visual being. They wore those exactly one time with purple sleeves, but for a long time it was the official black sleeve or black vest look in the MLB style guide, and therefore in MLB The Show, if you elected to play in those black vests, they came with purple undersleeves, which is hilarious. But the Rockies did a Todd Helton bobblehead in which he had the black vest jersey with purple sleeves on. But similarly, I broke it while moving, and I think it's around here somewhere. I like tried gluing it back together, could never get it put back together. And so that one is a favorite just because it was so unique and weird. I think when I was in Myrtle Beach, I don't know if we ever did a bobblehead. At least while I was there, I'm not sure if we did. I feel like I would have kept it if we did a bobblehead. I kept a lot of giveaways, and I'm not sure if we ever did one. So I think the Todd Helton one probably takes the cake. But I have so many just random bobbleheads sitting around. I have a Guardians, Weichung Guardians bobblehead of Tianxin Kuo, who's a Taiwanese outfielder. That's probably my most random one. He's leaping and making a catch against the outfield wall, but his head bobbles, which is fun. I did very much enjoy, though, and we're still in this era, but when they first started coming out with bobbleheads where different parts of the player bobbled, there was like a bobble glove or a bobble leg or a bobble foot or whatever. I find those very entertaining, but I don't think I have any of those. So I'm sticking with the classic, the similarly broken bobblehead to Sam's Trot Nixon one.
Yeah, it's interesting to think back on like when bobbleheads really became big again. Like I remember
Yeah.
being a teenager and then they're like, "Oh, bobbleheads are really in again." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, they were always kind of around." And now thinking about it, I mean, they're not as big on the market as like rookie cards or, uniform cards or whatever. But like bobbleheads are still a thing. Like
Yeah.
when a team comes out with a bobblehead and they get sold out, everybody still goes to eBay and be like, "Can I pick this up somehow?" Or
Yeah.
well, what can I do to get my hands on it? They are
That is
still
true.
collectibles that people like having and decorating at their desk, as you said, Tyler. That's happening right behind us.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I'm a little older than you guys, but in the 80s and 90s, there weren't really bobblehead giveaways that I was aware of growing up. And, growing up a Phillies fan, I don't have any bobbleheads from my youth from going to Phillies games or anything like that. And the bobbleheads I saw were very like self-consciously retro with like, they were more like generic, big smiling, big-headed players.
Those
Yeah, like
cartoonish faces.
when you think of a generic bobblehead, that was like the bobblehead. Like there weren't really, they didn't come out with specific ones back in the day.
Yeah, so we should look into this because when was it that they had this revival and then went from there? I mean, pretty much in my time covering minor league promos, which goes back nearly 20 years at this point, bobbleheads have always been a part of this calendar. So the revival happened, 2+ decades ago, but it was not something that I grew up with for sure.
I remember there being an episode of Around the Horn in which they recapped, I want to say it was the top 50 stories of whatever year it was. So maybe it was, like you said, 20 years ago. It might have been 2003 or something. And at number 50 was the revival of the bobblehead.
Huh.
And I was just like, oh, this is like a big enough story that, of all the things they could have talked about, this was what they wanted to lead off the show. So anyways, I'm happy that they've stuck around, that teams continue to be creative, that I'm sure we're going to be talking about this more as every year you're going to have more than 9 candidates to write about.
Oh yeah,
And
there's hundreds to possibly write about throughout 120 teams. Some teams don't do them. Some teams like the Timber Rattlers, Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, do as many as like 8, 9, 10 in a season. I could go through my promo spreadsheet and find pretty close to the exact number, but I'd guess there's at least 300 to 400 in minor league baseball every year.
And to kind of bring us back around to what you were saying at the top, like if people want to get angry because their favorite bobblehead wasn't on the list, that just means there's lots to choose from. And that's
I'm not trying to write anything I do as like, this is the definitive 9 best. Using what metric? Everything is, it was just like 9 of
bobbability.
Yeah.
Which one is the bobbiest bobblehead that ever bobblehead?
And for some people, it's like, which can get the most on eBay? That's fine, do you? But it's just a way to get things out there, and to have dissenting opinions, or how could you miss this? I'm totally cool with that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, this is all fun. We're talking about bobbleheads.
Yeah.
We're getting paid to talk about bobbleheads right now. I'll take that career every day.
And if somebody wants to one day make a The Show Before the Show bobblehead featuring the 3 of us, we would not turn it down. You have to get You have to perfect the technology for like a salt and pepper beard, though, because I feel like we're all down that road. That's the next
feel like
frontier in bobblehead technology.
our beards would just be the like past, present, and future in terms of
What does that mean,
the
Sam?
varying grays that we have. That's all I'm saying. Like
Who's
I'm starting to get a lot of
Look at
salt and
me?
pepper
I'm the
in here.
youngest. I have full color in
Yeah.
my beard and hair. Jerk.
Yeah, you tried to call us all middle aged earlier. I'm still 35. Like I'm not ready to go to that level just
Sam,
yet.
I hate to tell you, it's coming.
I
Yeah,
know.
if
I
you can be
know.
president, you can be middle-aged.
It's
Yeah.
coming.
You're middle-aged.
It is
That's
coming,
fair.
buddy. Okay, well, think of your favorite bobbleheads and send them to us, podcast@milb.com. We are into a new year. As wild as it is, the 2026 minor league baseball season is approaching. And as we dive into a new year, we're always happy to talk about the things that we hope to see, the things that we plan on seeing, the things we plan on doing in 2026 with our resolutions. We talked about this a little bit before the holidays, but 2026 resolutions. Benjamin Hill, kick us off.
Yeah, I got a few I wrote down, and I'll try to be quick with this because we have been a bit rambly so far, but maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? We don't get enough feedback. So send us your opinions on whether we're talking too much, too little, just right. Anyway,
Please
well, this
don't.
goes without saying.
Don't send us your opinions. I have way too thin a skin for that. Please don't.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Just keep them to yourselves, but thank you for listening. This one goes without saying. I might be jumping on one you guys have, but we got to do show before the show night at a minor league ballpark in the year 2026. So had a great time with the Patriots last year, Somerset Patriots. We talked about that a lot on this podcast, had a whole episode dedicated to it, and would like to do the second chapter in that to meet listeners and get some on the ground ballpark material for a special episode of the show. I plan on traveling this year, doing ballpark road trips. I say some variation of this every year, and sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't, but change things up with my road trips. I do think the way my job has evolved, the way quote unquote content has evolved. I think the traditional trips I used to do, going back to 2010 when it was just about getting everywhere. And, sometimes I was just in a random place on a Tuesday night because that was the region of the country I was in. I think I'm going to do maybe less places, less just kind of random stops at teams just because, hey, there's a new ballpark in this place. So then I'll go visit 4 other teams around it just because I'm in the area. I think I'm going to make the trips a little shorter, a little more targeted, and not exclusively minor league baseball, some partner leagues, or just good baseball stories. So I do plan on some changes with the road trip schedules this year. And maybe not even, there's going to be 5 new ballparks in 2026, and maybe not even getting to all 5 in one year. Just saying so much of what I do is just stuff I kind of made up as the years went by, and then you kind of get locked in your own cycles of this is the way I do it. And I don't necessarily have to go to all 5 ballparks, especially if that precludes doing some other interesting stuff as well. Those ballparks will still be there in 2027 and beyond, and hopefully I will be as well. And then tied in with road trips, to make sure I go on one road trip with my family. My son Harry he'll be 5 this baseball season. I took him to Jill and I took him to a Williamsport Crosscutters game. They're now in the draft league at the end of last season and had such a great time. These kind of trips would most likely be in the Northeast, somewhere we can drive to from New York City. But I just want to share baseball with my son and with my family and tap into what's fun about being at a minor league game, which ironically, while I'm the guy writing about what's fun at minor league games, I often don't have that much fun because I'm thinking about how to cover it. So to go in a social context is important. And Harry also, we saw the Cyclones, and he was at the show before the show night in Somerset. And then last thing, I've been writing about minor league baseball for 20 years, and I think about writing about other topics that aren't minor league baseball for years. So this is not professional, but I need to just start writing about other things, flex muscles that are not related to minor league baseball, because my minor league baseball writing muscles are strong, but other types of voices and material have atrophied. And I think just doing it is the only way you can get started. And I just, think back to when I was in my 20s and just trying to figure things out. And I had my own blog with all sorts of stuff on it. And I was writing sketch comedy and performing sketch comedy. I was writing record reviews for a website, and on and on and on. And I just need to have a little more diversity in being a writer. That's what I got.
I mean, how much do we talk about versatility with players, right? I was talking to a team this week about, their prospects in their system, and asking about why is this guy playing third base versus second base versus shortstop and moving around. And they're like, we want everybody to get different spots because we want them to read, like what happens when you're playing third base. And it's a funny read off the bat. It's like, oh, well, I know how I would play this as a second baseman. That's going to help. Like, so similar thing. There's going to be something that's going to come up that is minor league related, but also allows you to flex the other muscle, where you can view it as a record review or something instead.
Yeah, I think part of it is when you establish your name and professional career, revolving around one thing, it's tough to then have your name attached to something that's just not related to all that. And not that I plan on writing like super incendiary things, but I've gotten overly concerned about like, I don't want my opinions about this, that, or the other thing, or my writing about this, that, or that, like creeping into my job. I want to keep them separate. But instead of worrying about that, I just need to figure out what I'm going to do, who the audience is, if anyone, and let it flow from there. But it's very easy in life to not know where to begin, or to have your fears of what could happen or what might happen preclude you from ever doing it. I'm certainly falling that trap, and I know a lot of other people do too. So trying to get past that.
All right, Sam, you're up.
Well, the first one is the one that I have every year, which is try to identify breakout prospects as they happen. Every year there's prospects who do stuff during the season that we did not see coming, as much as we research in the off season, talk to people in the off season, write up these guys in the off season, and then watch them in spring training. Sometimes they gain muscle. Sometimes they get a little faster. Sometimes they improve with the glove work. Sometimes they elevate and lift and pull the ball better. And trying to get on the edge of that as best I can is what's going to make me a better prospect evaluator, better prospect writer, and hopefully make the audience, more educated on these guys, and be ready for, we're coming out pretty regularly. I want to say every 6 weeks or so with top 100 updates. And I enjoy that we do that. It keeps everybody on the tip of what's going on. But just even strengthening, when we make those changes. That's something I resolved to do every year. I think I was better at it last year than the year before that. Now I want to get better than I was in 2025. So that's the first one. Another one that comes to mind, and it's kind of similar to what Ben's talking about. It's a little bit in his realm, but we've done these MLB pipeline prospect showcases. We used to call them games of the month. We're trying to get those on MLB Network. That happened a few times last year. Hopefully that's something that can continue in 2026. Haven't had those discussions quite yet. Everybody's kind of building up to spring training in the World Baseball Classic right now, but we'll see how things go from there. But I would like to highlight some West Coast teams. I think sometimes we get a little too East Coast centric on that, and because there are a lot of leagues here on the East Coast, right? But dive into the PCL. I got to go as far west as Frisco last year for this job. I also went to Arizona, but
we all know what happened in Frisco.
We don't need to talk about that. We can leave that behind in 2025.
I thought you were going to say a tanning bed was going to be one of your resolutions.
Oh, the tanning bed, abs. There's many things that we could just improve that whole situation. Tanning bed's probably the best place to start, though. I don't know how that would go.
You're still a braver man. You could not have paid me a sum of money high enough to have no shirt and to go tarps off on national television. You are a braver man than I am, and I admire you for it.
Our performance reviews are still coming up, so who knows if we'll see just how much I was paid for that endeavor, or what my the benefit will be on the back end. But anyway, there's just so many other ways. Like if we are going to bring these games to the network and bring them to wider audiences, and I'm glad we're doing that, and I want to expand that as best we can. Let's go out to the West Coast and show some of these really fun places. Maybe somewhere like Ontario, which has been said, brand new stadium. I want to bring that to people and show what's going on in the Cal League, or Tacoma, which kind of is on its own island. now. I mean, obviously the Northwest League exists, but like for the PCL, it's kind of out there. The Mariners have a super interesting system right now. Maybe we go out to Tacoma. We'll see. So that's on the list. Get out more to the West Coast in 2026. And yeah, I mean, I'll just echo, show before the show night. I'll piggyback off that. And the Somerset people did a great job. If they want to run it back, we'll happily run it back. But I would love to, again, take that to a new place, meet some new fans, meet some folks out there, maybe somewhere in the Midwest if we're just choosing geographic zones here. But I would like to expand that and make it a bigger thing. And I really enjoyed the episode we did in that. It wasn't just the day itself; it was the whole package. I was thinking the other day of cleaning out my car, and my mind immediately went to you finding stuff in my car. So maybe if we go somewhere that we have a rental that I can't get dragged for, like the Chevy Malibu that we choose.
Damn, if you look in the back
fun,
seat of your car once every 12 years, you wouldn't have had that problem.
Yeah. So, maybe going somewhere that I can't be dragged would be good. But yeah, expanding
Impossible.
that. Impossible. I know. I will find a way somehow.
That's what you get for still having
Lord
a full
knows.
head of hair and all the color in your beard. All right.
I will trip on the way up to the mound to throw a first pitch. I'll do something like that. It's bound to happen. I'm going to have to practice my bouncy ball, apparently, like making sure I am staying upright at all times.
I am
thing.
like a little scared if we get to do another night at a ballpark somewhere.
Oh, what I'm capable of? You don't even I would say you can't even dream of it, but you can't even have a nightmare of it enough. Nothing will prepare
Sam
you.
has been plotting my
I'm willing to
demise
do.
for the last 7 months.
Yeah, maybe that's my final resolution is just
Rightfully
to get back
so.
at you in some form.
Just
Yeah.
a vengeful
Go from
Sam
this
Dykstra.
podcast played in a courtroom.
That's right. Yeah. So when did you start planning this? Oh, I
We'll
think
turn
we know
the jury's
exactly when. It was
attention
on
to the
Tinder.
audio recording that is about to play, Exhibit 17B. Yeah, no, it's fair. It's all fair.
Yeah. So Tyler, what do you got?
Well, in a baseball sense, somewhat similarly to Ben's point about writing, I got to finish this book. I got to get this World Baseball Classic history book done here in 2026. Very excited about that. Writing a book is like a whole different thing, and it is very fun. But man, it is a lot of work, and it is a lot of just different things that we tackle on a much smaller scale. Implementing those in in that sort of format is really different. I'm learning a lot. It is a bunch of fun to do. I think one thing that would be cool, similarly to what Ben said, is testing out different writing muscles in that I never write fiction. I've never even really attempted to write fiction. I never really feel like I have any good ideas to write fiction. But who writes a lot of fiction is our friend Josh Jackson. And we have talked about this a lot, how I just I don't even know how to go about it. And Josh is like, I think you just sit down and do it. I think that's part of it, is you just have to sit down and go after it. I think I would like to attempt that at some point this season. Maybe not during the baseball season, maybe this season of life. Maybe that's what I meant. I don't know. It's one of those things that is a luxury, I guess, to be able to think like, yeah, that's a hobby that I would like to get into. On a personal note, I would like to start fostering dogs again. As people are probably aware, if you're a listener to this show, I lost my dog back in September, and we still have one dog, but I think getting into fostering again and opening the door to potentially adopting a second dog at some point soon would be very cool. I don't know if I'm fully ready for that yet, but taking on the responsibility of trying to get a dog to their forever home and all of that is something that I've done in the past, and it's really cool, and I think I would like to get back into that soon. And it'll be fun to have another little personality running around the house. And so I think that's the personal side resolution for 2026.
I dig it. Those are all, I think we're all mentioning resolutions about growing this year, which seems like a cliche to some degree, but also not. I think a lot of people talk about changing things completely, and sometimes growth is change in its own way. So that's the way I'll wrap up.
I like
this
that.
year's resolutions.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, we have a very fun conversation for this week's episode of the show before the show. Ben, tee it up for us. This is something that we've actually been sort of planning on doing for the last couple of months. We kind of got the heads up that this was going to be in the pipeline, not the MLB pipeline. That's the other podcast. But Ben, give us the preview.
Yeah, well, the Florida State League is a league where every team but one plays in major league spring training facilities. They often are not one of the more innovative leagues in the world of promotions. Very few alternate identities have emanated from the Florida State League, and that is starting to change because Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, home of both the Palm Beach Cardinals and the Jupiter Hammerheads, there's going to be an alternate identity for the aforementioned Palm Beach Cardinals. Very convoluted way for me to be saying we're going to be talking about the Palm Beach Cardinals' new alternate identity, and it is a good one. Not leaping lizards, fallen ones.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You don't see many minor league baseball alternate identities coming from the Florida State League, and there's never been one from Roger Dean Stadium, Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, the home of the Jupiter Hammerheads and the Palm Beach Cardinals. Until now, on January 3rd, the Palm Beach Cardinals announced that on 12 Saturdays in the year 2026, they will be playing as the Frozen Iguanas. And we wanted to learn more about the Frozen Iguanas. You don't see much, as I said, much coming out of the Florida State League with these alternate identities. This one's getting some buzz. They're going to do it a dozen times. So let's talk about it with Sophia Monteleone, the media relations coordinator for the Palm Beach Cardinals. Sophia, thanks for being here.
Of course. I'm so excited. This is going to be really fun.
Excellent. Yeah, let's have fun. I mean, we're talking about Frozen Iguanas, which is one of the funnest things around. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't know much about Frozen Iguanas. So let's start with that. Frozen Iguanas. It's a big reference in Florida. People get it immediately. Other parts of the country, maybe not so much. What is it and how did this come about?
Yeah, so whenever the temperatures get below 50 degrees, that's quite cold for us down here in South Florida. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so that was a bit of a shock for me. But then, once your blood thins out, you kind of realize, oh, that is a bit cold. So similar to how our human blood kind of thins out and we get a little bit more chilly in hotter climates, so do iguanas, right? So iguanas are an invasive species, technically, in South Florida, and they love to roam around everywhere. They're normally up in trees, on golf courses, backyards, sunbathing. But once the temperature drops below 50 degrees, they suddenly stiffen up, get really, really cold, and then they just kind of thunk out of these trees and out of their perches because they like to be high up. So a frozen iguana is essentially not a dead iguana, but a stiffened up, kind of spooked iguana, kind of playing possum in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so not dead, just frozen and stiffened up. And then the temperature gets a little warmer and they spring back to life. It grabs your attention as an alternate identity, and we'll get into how it looks in a little bit. But yeah, this is the team's first ever alternate identity. Who had this idea? How did it develop? And, what made the front office say, okay, this is the one?
Yeah, it started before I came here. I came to Roger Dean in 2024. But even while I was, an intern that year, the term frozen iguana was kind of floating around. It came internally in our little group of Florida State League game day workers, which is super cool. And we worked together with St. Louis to kind of hammer it down, really see what it could look like. And then we were like, I think we're going to do it. So yeah, it was super cool. Honestly, we just kind of knew, once it came about, it's such a quirky South Florida thing, and everyone down here knows what you mean when you say frozen iguana. it's really like a little like hat tip to our community and our fans and be like, we see you, like we know where we are and we want to be in on that type of little joke, quirky joke. So yeah.
And as is the case with so many alternate identities, it's an educational moment for the rest of the country. I feel like so many times we're learning about food identities from places like Northeast Ohio or Southern California. This obviously is not that, but it is an opportunity
Could be.
it could, well, don't touch the frozen iguanas while they're on the ground. They will spring to life, like you said. But you are working with a St. Louis affiliate here who like their fans know Missouri. They might know Jupiter from visiting from spring training, but they're still learning about this. What has been the reaction, not just from Cardinals fans, but just across baseball in the country of learning exactly what a frozen iguana is and how you guys are incorporating that?
People, they think it's hilarious, which was our goal. Like we really wanted to make people laugh and kind of showcase what minor league baseball is all about. You know what I mean? It's about the performance on the field and the players that, are getting trained to go up into the big leagues one day, but it's also about having fun, spending time with your family and just being light in summary. That's what I think of whenever I think of minor league baseball anyways. But yeah, so it definitely the reception has been great. People think it's really funny. People think it's really cool. Um, we sold out all of our merch in the first weekend, so people are really interested in wanting to rep the logo and talk about it. It's been really cool.
And let's touch just on the timing a little bit here. I mean, you guys are announcing this in early January when it is starting to get, as you said, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes for the people listening at home, cold in South Florida. But I mean, I'm sure that's got to play into this somehow is like maybe you'll see a frozen iguana on the sidewalk here in the coming weeks. But also, you guys are wearing this in the summer. Is it supposed to remind people of what the cold could be like when you guys are playing this on a Saturday in July?
The biggest thing whenever you're playing a 12:30 game on a Sunday in the middle of July is wow, I wish it could be a little bit colder. So something like that, it's always hot down here, especially once you get past that May kind of finish line after spring training's over. Then they really just crank up the heat. So it's kind of to remind everyone like colder days are coming. You can reminisce on that at our Saturday home games, but just really remember like it's not like this all the time. You won't be sweating as you're driving to work. Like it's okay. So, but it's mainly just something that's really funny, kind of keep that in people's minds all year, because why not?
Sophia, what was the reaction from the Cardinals? You said working with them. Obviously, you guys have been in tandem with this whole thing, and they're a fairly staid organization. They're across the board, and there are affiliates that have their own cool alternate identities. I know Springfield paying tribute to a chicken dish that is
Cashew chickens.
cashew chicken. That's what it was. I couldn't remember the nut that was involved with the chicken dish for Springfield. But what was the Cardinals' reaction to this? Because this is so cool that you got a chance to work with them for this.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I wasn't directly involved with speaking with the Cardinals. That was more so, our general manager of the Palm Beach Cardinals and general manager of the stadium. So they kind of were the ones working with the St. Louis organization and kind of seeing, oh, is this okay? Do you like this? Like, really, it was really a nice process from what I've heard from that experience. But I mean, I could see them being really excited about this because it not only generates more buzz about their farm system, but it's just a cool new addition to add. So many of the other teams in their development system have really, really cool alternate identities, like you mentioned with Springfield. So it's nice to be a part of that family and really have our own little thing.
It's cool too because you said you sold out merch the first weekend, and so often, no, not taking shots at the Florida State League, but obviously it's a league that's a little bit less attended and maybe a little bit less known from the minor league baseball landscape. For the community locally, like to see that reaction from people who are that excited about it, how cool is that for you all as a staff? In that, it's not necessarily the same when we think of the wild, wacky world of minor league baseball. The Florida State League is very traditional. But to see this is really cool. And I would imagine that's got to be really rewarding for you all.
Yeah, no, it's definitely really rewarding because we're not only shedding light on the Palm Beach Cardinals and, the St. Louis Cardinals organization, we're also shedding light on the Florida State League as a whole. So people are going in and researching what other teams are around us, and that's been really cool to see and kind of see everyone else get a little bit more recognition than we normally do this time of year. So it's awesome.
Kind of piggybacking off that, I think this is both a simple question and a complicated one, but why now? I mean, why do you feel like maybe it has been this long for FSL teams to really embrace alternate identities? And, how much are you, pardon the pun, literally hoping to break the ice on this and maybe opening up the opportunities for others to follow you or, be unique in that way and become the team that is known for having the big one. Like I know Clearwater has the Beach Dogs. There are some other ones, but like this is a bright, shiny new thing in the FSL. And that's certainly welcome from our point of view.
Yeah, it's whenever we started talking about this alternate identity, it wasn't really as a way to kind of be some like a group that is kind of paving the way for other Florida State League teams to do something similar. It was more so just for our fans and really wanting to do something that we know that they would appreciate and really enjoy. But I hope that we inspire other Florida State League teams to kind of really get into it. I know there's so many regional things going on all across the state of Florida. So leaning into your community, like that's something that is timeless and always will be appreciated. So I hope this inspires them to really want to get into that.
And I feel like we haven't touched too much on how it actually looks so far with you. I mean, it's got this blue and green look, which, I mean, if you were to think about Cardinals colors, that would be the complete opposite in a good way. It's a little spicing things up a little bit. What was the decision? Obviously, iguanas are green. I understand that. But to incorporate blue as well, keep things mixed up a little bit. How was it landing on this specific look?
Yeah, so the blues definitely came from the iciness portion of this identity. We have little PV ice cubes on one side of the jersey sleeves, which are super cool. Those are personally one of my favorite alternate marks. I think it just looks amazing. But we actually pulled the blues from the navy on the cardinal beak that they use in the primary logo for Palm Beach, St. Louis, majority of the other development teams too. And then our light blue, the icy blue that you kind of see throughout, was inspired by the light blue Cardinals jerseys that they wore a couple times. We even ended up making a light blue Cardinals jersey for Palm Beach to wear for a raffle giveaway situation for a like skin cancer awareness night, which was really, really cool. So from like the wide lens, it definitely looks like, wow, this is like complete opposite, like stark difference of what the Cardinals kind of do. But there's those little tie-ins that obviously not everyone knows, but it's really fun to talk about with the navy and the blue. And then the green comes from, like you said, the iguana. So,
And who designed the logos?
I believe his name is Ryan Foose. He's done a bunch.
Oh yeah, we've
He's
had him on the
working-
friend of the podcast. We've had him on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. I sat in on a couple meetings with him while they were perfecting and developing the logo in 2024, end of 2024, maybe early 2025. He is amazing. He is so talented. He's so easy to work with. Like, if anyone's interested in getting an alternate identity, like, check him out. He's awesome. We're so happy with it.
We need
Yeah,
to
I
have him
think
come
he's
up with
worked with
the
the
podcast. We gotta get
Yeah,
an alternate podcast identity.
That'd be
This is now
funny.
turned into a meeting for 2026 for the podcast itself. As all good interviews do.
yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah,
Let's put that on the to-do list. We
we're gonna
do need
write
an
this
alternate
down.
identity. Yeah, let's write that down. Work with Ryan Foose. Was it Fooser Sports, I believe it is? I think he's worked with the Patriots. We've had him on this podcast.
Yeah.
Um, but Sophia, a couple quick things I wanted to get to before we wrap this up. But one, you have a sponsor for this alternate identity,
We
and
do.
like I learned about frozen iguanas through this alternate identity, and then I learned that they're an invasive species, and your sponsor, the presenting partner, is Iggy Trap, an
Yes.
iguana removal service. And so, I'm a curious sort of fellow. So I was looking at their website yesterday because I just never considered this as a thing. And seems like a pretty professional operation they've got going on there. And also kind of opened my eyes to how many iguanas are in Florida and how they're actually a problem in a lot of ways because they are not native to the area. If you could go into how that came about, getting that presenting sponsor, I assume you had the idea first, but seems like a pretty natural fit.
Yeah, it definitely worked out. So the story of it is actually kind of funny. So being down here, there's a ton of golf courses, and we were actually at an event at one of these golf courses, and it was me and our marketing manager, Abby Schultz. And we saw these people laying out these traps, and we were like, what's going on? Like, that's weird. So naturally, we went up and talked to them. And they were from Iggy Trap. And Abby was like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what we have planned. Like, we would love to talk to you about the frozen iguanas, like, whatever, whatever. And she got in contact with their owner, who's actually from the area. He graduated from Florida Atlantic University. So that's even cooler, in my opinion. Um, and yeah, he was like, this is sick. Like, I would love to work with you guys and partner with you guys for this. And yeah, the rest is history. It's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah, Iggy Trap had been waiting a long time for something like this to to
Exactly.
come down the pike.
I had no
Exactly.
idea that iguanas were an invasive species. I just thought like, tropical area. Of course, iguanas live there. I had no idea. Is it like not to like, we're not throwing dirt on the iguanas here, but like, are they destructive? Are they just irritating? Like, are they trying to get the iguanas out because they're like, they're eating too much of the golf courses?
From what I know, they dig a little bit with their claws, so it kind of disrupts
Okay.
the dirt. I think they
Come on,
eat.
iguanas.
I know. I think they eat a lot of the trees and like bushes, natural bushes. And then I think people just genuinely think of them as a little bit of a pest.
Yeah, they're
New
just
York
one of those
City has rats,
annoyances.
we have iguanas, it's that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but I'd say humans are the real invasive species. Really makes you think.
I don't
Really
disagree.
does.
Yeah. Yeah, and last thing I have is, you're really committing to this throughout the season. 12 Saturday home games, I suppose, if I do the math, that's every Saturday home game. What sort of in-game elements do you have planned? I mean, all I could think of off the top of my head was play music by Iggy Pop, Iggy Azalea, The Doors featuring the Lizard King, Jim Morrison. But I know there's a lot of ways you can go if you really start to brainstorm.
Yeah, so we definitely have a bunch of really cool promotions themed around the frozen iguanas for every single Saturday, which is really fun. We have our ticket package, our ice cold 12 pack that gets you access to every single every single frozen iguanas game. So that's really fun. And with that, you get access to if there are any giveaways, if there's something really cool going on, either pregame or postgame, kind of gets you access to that, which is really fun. Um, as for other in-game elements, I know on my end, since I also operate our video board, it's gonna turn green. The video board will be green in all aspects, so that'll be really fun for me to kind of develop that. But yeah, we have a ton of really cool activities that are getting planned and getting kind of ironed out as we speak, which will be really fun to announce to our community, probably around February. So that'll be really fun.
I feel like there's a very easy, you could do like a frozen iguana toss, like on the third between innings, get a big
Mm.
bucket and some not actual frozen iguanas, but see who can toss as many. How often do you come across the actual frozen iguanas? That's what I can't wrap my mind around. I had no idea that this was a thing. I don't live in a place that has iguanas. Do you like if you're just like walking into the ballpark and it's a chilly day? Are there iguanas just like splayed out,
You can, it's more common than you think. It's kind of funny.
That's
Like if you're
amazing.
driving through a wooded area, which is kind of rare down here, but if you are and it's a colder day, like you might want to look out a little bit.
Yeah, I was just talking to a coworker today, who told me his cousin got hit in the head by a frozen iguana.
Yeah.
And I think those stories, as I can understand now, are more, as you said, more common than you might think.
And they're not small. Like iguanas aren't, iguanas can get pretty big. My
Pretty
favorite
big.
of the logos, by the way, is there's an actual falling iguana logo where the iguana is like, back toward the ground, frozen in mid-fall. Yeah, I never knew this was a thing, A, and B, it's not like these iguanas are like, it's a 4-ounce iguana, you'll be fine. Like I would imagine that could cause a little brain injury.
Yeah, these aren't
Yeah.
frozen geckos.
Maybe
Yeah,
an iguana
right.
helmet is the giveaway at some point, like maybe the last Saturday as everybody's preparing to make that turn to winter. Just
That would be
wear a
Iguana
really,
helmet.
helmets.
Be safe
that
out
would
there.
be really funny.
Yeah.
I know we've tossed around. I was like, guys, I will volunteer and run around in the outfield in an iguana costume to kind of just do something funny. Like I was like, guys, I will do that. And they haven't taken me up on that yet, but maybe as we get closer to the first game,
Oh
something
yeah,
will.
you need to do that, and then have like everybody freeze, and like
Or a game
which is
of
a
freeze
yeah,
tag,
freeze tag, yeah,
Yeah.
frozen iguana bucket challenge.
yeah,
Where you just pour frozen iguanas on
All
your
the
head.
ice.
Yeah, so
yeah,
many ideas.
yeah,
The wheels are already spinning. We can only imagine how they're spinning on your end. So
yeah. I mean, we could go all day. So I guess we'll cut ourselves off because now we've gone into the frozen iguana brainstorm session of the interview. But Sophia, thanks so much for joining the podcast and telling us all about the frozen iguanas. And we're looking forward to seeing those frozen iguanas on the field, and they will surely be in our hearts. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Huge thanks to Sophia Monteleone from the Palm Beach Cardinals. I had no idea the frozen iguanas were a thing, but now I am very excited to see this identity rolled out every summer Saturday this year in 2026 for the Palm Beach Cardinals. And with that, we're going to pivot to our final segment. Before we jump into this week's episode of Name That Dude, we do have one news item to get to, and that is a trade that went down this week, and a pretty big one, in which the Chicago Cubs acquired right-hander Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins in exchange for a 3-prospect package that includes the top prospect in the Cubs organization, outfielder Owen Casey, along with infielder Cristian Hernandez and corner infielder / outfielder Edgardo De Leon. Sam, this is a deal that includes 3 prospects in the Marlins organization now. Casey becomes the number 3 in that system, and Hernandez will be the number 12 in that system. He was number 11 with the Cubs. But this is a pretty solid deal in terms of the prospects that the Marlins are getting in return.
yeah, this is one of my favorite deals of the offseason just because of how meaty it is on both sides. The Cubs obviously trying to break through, get past the Birds in the NL Central, looking for rotation help. The Marlins, where they are right now, and Edward Cabrera, had some elbow issues at the end of the year. Maybe they're not as big believers in him moving forward, but they can go out and get somebody like Owen Casey, who is major league ready, made his debut at the tail end of last year, still holds on to prospect status going into 2026. He's somebody with a lot of AAA experience. He's actually got 982 plate appearances at AAA going back to 2024. He hit 19 homers in 2024, then 22 last year. Power is going to be the big thing for him. He's got pretty good exit velocities. Big question for me for him is he going to pull the ball in the air enough? But he's a better runner than you would expect for somebody his size. He's not going to be exactly lumbering out there in right field. He is 6'3". He could be at least an average runner. He actually had above average sprint speeds in the majors with the Cubs in that small sample. We'll see if he's going to make enough contact. Kind of struggled with that out of the gate. That's to be expected for somebody jumping from AAA to the majors. He's somebody who I thought going into the year would be the Cubs opening day right fielder. Maybe they're going to use Sia Suzuki in that spot instead, even though they don't really trust him enough defensively. But for the Marlins, they get somebody they can add to their outfield. You look at, in left field, Kyle Stowers coming off a great year. Jacob Marcy was really, really good as a rookie in a surprising way, I think, last year. And the Marlins, I'm not saying they're necessarily going to be surprise contenders, but they are building something there potentially for 2027 and moving forward. And Owen Casey can certainly be a big part of that. I see him as maybe a 30 homer guy for them down the road. If he can lift the ball enough, if he can pull it enough, we'll see if he makes those adjustments or tries to continue to have all fields power, which used to sound good. It's not as good as it once was. Pulling the ball in the air is definitely a big thing for him, but certainly somebody I think they can plug in right away on opening day and help balance that lineup and, potentially be in that batting order for a long, long time. And maybe we look back at this someday as the Owen Casey trade and not the Edward Cabrera trade. But for the Cubs, they're getting somebody who relied a lot more on his sinker last year. Everybody loves the changeup. It's the hardest thrown changeup in all of Major League Baseball. But the fact that he was throwing more sinkers, he was throwing more strikes, you can plug him pretty easily into the middle of that Cubs rotation. And the Cubs are a better team today than they were yesterday. We'll see if they make other moves to try to address that right field spot. Do they go after Kyle Tucker? Do they go after a Bo Bichette, try to improve the lineup even more moving forward? Obviously, Bo Bichette's not going to play right field, but there's still other moves probably coming for the Cubs. But there's a lot to sink in your teeth here. As we sit here with our current rankings, Owen Casey is number 47. We're still going through that. Actually, the top 100 is going to get its full refresh in about 2 weeks here. We're going to come out with our top 10 positional list starting next week. So a little tease of that. I will say Owen Casey's not going to move too far off of 47. Now, in which direction does he go? Watch this space. But for now, there's still a lot to like, and it begins with the power. And I'm fascinated to see how it plays with Miami. It seems like he's their right fielder of not only the present, but very much the future.
All right. The new rankings coming up soon. Top 10 rankings positionally are coming out soon. All of that will lead up to the top 100 coming up here in just a couple of weeks. And with that, it is time at long last for the first 2026 edition of everybody's favorite game show, Name That Dude, in which one of us has a dude to be named, and the other two are responsible for guessing that dude. This week, Sam Dykstra is the dude knower, which makes Benjamin Hill and me the dude guessers. Sam, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so this dude was drafted in 1988 from the University of South Alabama. It was a fourth-round pick of the Jaguars, indeed, of the Houston Astros. So he began his career in the Astros system, played in the New York Penn League to begin with the Auburn Astros out of Auburn, New York in 1988, 39 games with them. And then with the Asheville Tourists in 1988, a single A team, played for a single A short season, then a single A team in 1988. 1989 goes to, and I always get this name wrong, Osceola Astros.
Yeah, Osceola Astros.
Florida State League. Of the Florida State League. So he plays the entire season with them, 86 games, hits 6 home runs in 86 games for the Osceola Astros in 1989. 1990 jumps to Double-A in the Southern League with the Columbus Mudcats of Columbus, Georgia. Goes from 6 homers in 1989 to 24 homers in 138 games at Double-A. Actually makes his Major League debut with the Astros in 1990, gets 12 games with them. 1991, up with the Astros completely. It's 13 homers in 137 games. 1992, spends a baker's dozen worth of games with the Tucson Toros, a AAA club of the Pacific Coast League. And then is pretty much a major leaguer from there on out. 92, 93, 94, 95 with the Astros. Moves to the Cubs. Was with the Cubs for 95 and 96. Back to the Astros for 97. to the Detroit Tigers in 1998. And then the Arizona Diamondbacks from 99 to 2006, spends 1 year with the Dodgers in 2007, 1 year with the Marlins in 2008, and then he retires after the 2008 season, which was his age 40 season. So a lot of teams in there. All of his minor league experience came with the Houston Astros for obvious reasons. Probably don't think of him as an Astro. Tyler, you rang the buzzer there. What's your guess?
I think especially because you just noted that for obvious reasons you don't think of him as an Astro. Is this Luis Gonzalez?
This is Luis Gonzalez.
Good one.
Luis Gonzalez.
And
I should have gotten that. Yeah.
the reason why I kind of hurried through the D-backs section, I was just like, yeah, he's with the Diamondbacks from 1999 to 2006.
He happened to have one of the most iconic hits in baseball history, but
yeah. Also did not mention that he had 57 homers in 2001.
Yeah.
That's a small detail. I think that would have given it away.
Yeah. Him and Brady Anderson, the two most unlikely 50-homer campaigns in baseball history.
Finished with 354 home runs for his career, batting average of 283, OBP of 367, slugged 479 in his major league career. 19 seasons for Luis Gonzalez.
I didn't realize he played that. Didn't he have at least triplets?
Oh, good question.
That I don't know. That is not on his baseball record.
I feel like it was a massive amount of kids were born at one time.
I do not know if Luis Gonzalez is the Philip Rivers of baseball.
I remember reading an article about it many years ago.
Not that Philip Rivers has had a lot of kids at one time. He's just had a lot of kids.
It's a very good memory from Benjamin Hill. According to Wikipedia, he and his family, wife Christine, and triplets Megan, Jacob, and Alyssa.
It was triplets. Yeah.
And his son Jacob was taken by the Giants in the 2017 MLB draft.
Well, there you go. The reason why I chose Luis Gonzalez. Anybody want to guess?
Does he have a New Year's birthday?
Doesn't that I'm aware of.
Oh. Well, never mind.
But you're on the right track, Tyler. You're on the right track. He was born September 3rd.
Okay, so not really on the right track.
You're more on
sort
the
of
right
on the
track
right track. Okay,
sort of on the right track.
I have no idea.
His birthday is January 9th, and he wore 19.
No, okay. I'm just going to tell you because now you've kind of created the Venn diagram here. His number with the Astros, and let me get up all the teams yet. His number with the Astros and the Dodgers and the Marlins was 26. So this is our first name that dude of 2026. I was trying to look up famous players who have worn
famous
26.
number 26.
There have been some other famous 26s. Jimmy Fox wore it for a year with the Chicago Cubs. Wade Boggs wore it for a number of years with the Red Sox. Chase Utley, who's currently on the Baseball Hall of Fame ballot, doesn't seem like it's going to be his year, but he's trending very well. Wore 26 with both the Phillies and the Dodgers, and then Billy Williams wore it during his time with the Cubs. But so there are a number of ones to choose from. I just thought Luis Gonzalez was kind of a fun
by dude designation, Luis Gonzalez is a very good one because he fits, all the bill. Like a guy you don't necessarily remember from the organization that drafted him, but, decent amount of minor league time, one hugely outlying season. His career high for home runs in any other season was 31, by the way. That's a very good selection for a dude. That's like a guy who you remember remember Brady Anderson would be another one. It's remember when Brady Anderson had 50 home runs somehow?
Yeah. And Luis Gonzalez won a home run derby as well. He has one Silver Slugger, 5-time All-Star, obviously the 2001 World Series. We mentioned that, but pretty fun Baseball Reference page to look at. So I encourage everybody to do that on your own. In your own time. Look back at the career of Luis Gonzalez.
Yes, don't do it on anyone else's time. You take your time
your time and your time only.
Yes.
Well, great stuff as always on this week's episode of Name That Dude and on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Again, you can get in touch with us. Tell us your favorite bobbleheads. Give us your questions for 2026 and let us know what your resolutions are for this new year as it has dawned upon us. For Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill, my name is Tyler Maughan. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode, and we will talk to you next week.